Hey you, thank you so much for clicking on this video. So lately I have been going through this phase of life where I'm discovering a lot of things about myself and it feels really weird. It feels as if I'm a new person to myself, if that makes any sense. And while I go through this phase, I thought to share what is it that I'm going through with you all. A big part of this phase is me getting acquainted with the kid that is inside me and reparenting that kid, teaching that kid the ways of the world and the ways of life. I'm not really sure if you have also been through this phase or if you're going through this phase where you discover that there's this little kid in you who needs attention, who needs validation, and who needs to be heard and seen. I'm not sure if you're also there, but if you are, I just wanted to let you know that you are not alone in this. I'm going through the same thing. Also, now that I'm talking about the kid in me, it also makes sense to let you know a little bit about how my childhood has been. So, as an actual kid, I had been a very obedient kind of kid, kind of like a parent's pet, kind of like a teacher's pet, and not causing any trouble to my parents or anyone around me, being that A grade student and being that example setter for other kids around me. And also, I come from a family which did not have the healthiest of dynamics, and maybe I'll get into my family dynamics in some other video. But yeah, I would say that my childhood did have its own challenges. I did struggle a lot with my self-worth thanks to the issues that I had to face during my childhood. I always had to be validated by someone else, by an external party, to feel worthy. And because of that, I had been a kid who always wanted to be the model kid so as to get that validation from others. However, in trying to be that model kid, in trying to be that perfect kid, I ignored a part of myself that was the rebel. And when I say rebel, I don't mean a kid who wanted to be indisciplined or a menace to the society. I mean the kid who challenged everything, the kid who wanted to question herself as to what is it that she really wants apart from just being a teacher's pet or a parent's favorite. And now that I'm growing up, now that I'm entering my 30s, the rebel kid in me really wants to be seen and heard now. The rebel kid in me is really stubborn. The rebel kid in me does not want to listen to anyone else. The rebel kid in me does not want to follow anyone else. The rebel kid in me wants to be set in her own ways, and that rebel feels as if her ways are the only right ways for her, because at some point in the past, the rebel kid was let down by that model kid who always wanted to be validated by everyone else. And so this rebel kid is kind of like the shadow or the opposition of that model kid. And now the rebel kid wants to establish her own ways and let the world know that she doesn't need validation from anyone else but herself. So that's what I'm realizing about the kid in me and different sides of that kid. The perfect kid played her part during the childhood where she pleased everyone else, where she was validated by everyone else, where she was not an inconvenience at all for anyone else. But now this rebel side of her wants to be heard and seen. So yeah, that is what I am currently experiencing. And balancing that can be really hard, since the kid in me is really stubborn and won't listen to anyone else. That same kid also tends to make mistakes because that kid doesn't really know everything about lifing and about how to navigate through situations. And so this phase is about reparenting that rebel kid. And what I am doing right now as a parent of that rebel kid is just listening to her, because at this point, I don't really think I can do anything else, because that kid wants attention, because that kid wants to be seen and heard. What I can do as a parent is to see her, to hear her, and not judge her for being the rebel that she is. She is a rebel for a reason. And I, as a parent, completely understand. Also, as a parent, I don't force the rebel kid in me to listen to anyone else, which may come off as really stubborn of me. And I am stubborn, and that's okay. That rebel kid does need the reassurance that nobody would force her to listen to anyone. And that's the reassurance that I am giving her as I am reparenting that rebel kid. And once that rebel kid does what she wants, and if it turns out to be not the best path for her, I gently come in as a parent and try to tell her that, okay, you did this your way. Now let's try to do it the adult way. And that is where the reprogramming of the rebel kid really comes into the picture. When the rebel kid realizes that her ways were not the best ways, that's where the adult version of me is coming in and letting her know that, hey, this is another way that you can try, and maybe this will work for you. And that is when the rebel kid in me is really listening as well. So I think that so far I am doing a good job reparenting that little kid in me. I know that this is a very weird video to understand right now, because if you're not in that phase and if you're not experiencing the same thing, you may not be able to relate with whatever I'm saying. But if you are in the same phase, you will find this really relatable. And if you're someone who did find this relatable, I just wanted to let you know that, first of all, you're not alone in this. I'm with you here. And secondly, it can be exhausting. I totally understand that. Reparenting your inner kid can be really exhausting, and it can be really frustrating sometimes. But I think it's needed at this point. You cannot just really ignore the kid in you who wants to be seen and heard. And the best thing you can do for your inner kid is to see her or him, or hear her or him. And so yeah, that's all I had today for this video. I believe that this is a phase of life, and just like every other phase, this will pass too. And as of now, I can only hope that I come out to be a better person after I reparent the kid in me. And I hope the same for you. So thank you so much for watching if you watched till the end, and I hope to see you soon. Till then, take care.